Imagine you are sleeping. You believe you are in a state of total rest, but inside your brain, an ancient security system is running a high-stakes diagnostic. In the 1950s, researchers studying the Hutterites, a tight-knit religious community in the Dakotas, discovered something startling. They had some of the lowest rates of micro-awakenings in the world. Because they lived, worked, and worshipped in a state of absolute communal safety, their brains allowed them to slip into deep, restorative sleep without checking for predators in the dark. Now, look at the modern professional. They might have 500 LinkedIn connections, 3 group chats buzzing on mute, and a weekend brunch scheduled 2 weeks in advance. Yet, when they go to sleep, their brain is firing off micro-awakenings like a frantic lighthouse keeper. This is the paradox of modern connection. We are the most connected generation in human history, yet we are currently living through a global epidemic of loneliness. Nearly half of all Americans report that they have 3 or fewer close friends, and 1 in 2 reports having no one to talk to intimately at all. We've been told that loneliness is a lack of people, but the research reveals something much more haunting. You can be surrounded by friends and still be starving for connection. Loneliness isn't about proximity, it's about resonance. We feel lonely even with friends because our modern social structures prioritize visibility over presence, forcing our ancient social brains into a permanent threat mode that no amount of digital interaction can soothe. We traditionally understand friendship as a linear equation. More friends equals less loneliness. But the math of the 21st century has been corrupted by what sociologists call the friendship paradox. Statistically, your friends are likely to have more friends than you do. Because highly connected hubs are mathematically more likely to be in your circle, they create a skewed, distorted representation of what a normal social life looks like. This leads to a jarring conflict in our psychology. We see our friends' ostentatious information, their travel, their career wins, their perfectly staged dinners, and instead of feeling connected, we feel envy. Research shows that reading these updates actually reduces our life satisfaction. Here's the dissonance. We reach for our phones to kill loneliness, but we often end up feeding it. We engage in social snacking, brief texts and emoji reactions that provide a temporary hit of dopamine but leave us emotionally starved. It is the biological equivalent of trying to cure a famine by looking at photos of bread. We have replaced the radically old technology of human touch and shared presence with a curated performance. To understand why this feels so painful, we have to listen to the hardest data we have. The late Professor John Cacioppo, a pioneer in social neuroscience, argued that loneliness is a biological survival signal as fundamental as hunger or thirst. When we feel disconnected, our brain doesn't just feel sad, it snaps into threat mode. In this state, our bodies activate a stress-related gene pattern that increases pro-inflammatory activity and decreases antiviral responses. We are biologically preparing for a predator attack because for 95% of human history, being alone meant being dead. The data on the lonely brain reveals a specific mechanical shift: hypervigilance. Lonely individuals detect social threats like a frowning face or a subtle snub much faster than non-lonely people. The TPJ shutdown. In lonely people, the temporoparietal junction, the area responsible for perspective taking and empathy, shows significantly lower activation. Because the brain perceives the social environment as unsafe, it prioritizes self-preservation over connection. This creates a tragic feedback loop. The lonelier you feel, the more likely you are to misinterpret a friend's neutral behavior as a rejection. You become a socially anxious sentinel, scanning your friends for signs of betrayal rather than moments of intimacy. There is a hidden layer to this isolation that most people miss: the death of the third place and the rise of masking. Sociologist Ray Oldenburg identified the third place, the neighborhood coffee shop, the park, the library, as the anchor of community life. These were levelers, where you didn't have to be a CEO or a parent, you were just a regular. Today, those spaces are vanishing, replaced by digital filter bubbles and home-to-work shuttles. Without these informal stages, our social interactions have become high-stakes performances. We engage in masking, the conscious suppression of our true personality to fit societal expectations. We rehearse lines, stifle our anxieties, and adopt neurotypical mannerisms just to appear professional or cool. Think of it this way. Your social life has become a subscription service instead of a public park. You have to log in, pay with your attention, and maintain a brand. When we mask our true selves to be accepted by our friends, we lose the only thing that actually cures loneliness, the experience of being known. As the research suggests, if people love your mask, they don't love you, and your brain knows it. So what? Why does this matter to you, sitting there with a notification-laden pocket? It matters because loneliness is not a private sorrow, it is a public health crisis with the same mortality impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. We are living in a culture of hyper-individualism that tells us, "I don't owe anyone anything," rebranding detachment as strength. But real friendship isn't built on comfort or convenience. It is built on the radically old technology of sacrifice and vulnerability. It's the willingness to pick a friend up from the airport when you're tired. It's the 40 seconds of a positive, caring interaction that literally lights up the brain.
We have to stop trying to fit in and start trying to belong. Belonging requires you to be who you are, not who the algorithm wants you to be. If you disappeared tomorrow, who would actually notice? More importantly, whose side are you standing on today?